Every single episode in this series is dedicated to a foundational topic that you need to be very familiar with if you are going to successfully start a business. Last week was our first episode. We talked to Raina Campbell, the host and founder of the Dreams and Drive community. She gave us an intense overview of storytelling and how to actually craft a story. This is going to be relevant for you if you are trying to tell a brand story, if you're trying to communicate with a specific audience, if you're trying to build a community. And today I have an expert in copywriting for you. Eman Zabi is a launch strategist and she's a conversion copywriter. That means she specializes in writing copy, writing words that create sales. First, Eman is going to let us know what copywriting is and why it matters for you if you are a new or aspiring business owner.
I like to think of copywriting as equal parts art and science. It's the specific words and arrangement of words that businesses can use to lead people towards a specific action. It's the words that you have in an email that makes you click through and go to buy something. It's marketing words. I have to be really simple about it. The real focus of copy is being able to tie your offers, the problem your offer is solving, to the specific pain points that your audience is having. Essentially, the thorn in someone's foot. Really, what is bothering them, and how is your offer going to fix that? How's your offer going to be the band-aid they need? And copy is that link between the two of them.
As a new or aspiring business owner, you might not be reaching for a 6-figure or a 7-figure launch. You might be starting a lot smaller. So I asked Eman to explain whether these are principles that can be applied to a smaller scale launch.
I think anytime you're putting an offer out into the world, it's a launch. It can be, whether it's $100,000, $200,000 launch like Amy Porterfield's, or if it's you putting out your first $50 offer, that's also a launch. And the strategy is much the same because, and I like to call the whole process a minimum viable launch, because your first launch is you looking at really minimizing your investment, minimizing your time as well, but maximizing your ROI and collecting as much information as possible about your audience. And I feel like copy has more of a potential to be able to move the needle for people starting out, because you need to sell your story. You need to get people invested in who you are as a person. You need to establish your credibility and authority, and you have to be likable, and that's incredibly important as well, because people aren't going to buy from you if they think you're insert a PG-13 word here.
Now let's get into the nitty-gritty. How exactly do we set up a launch?
You start off looking at demand. Have people asked you for this specific thing? What kind of language are they using to ask for it? So every time someone asks you a question about your area of expertise, start documenting that, and that'll give you a really good kind of baseline structure to formulate your launch copy around. Because when someone's asking a question, they're usually identifying sort of an area of friction for you to address later in your copy. So the very first stage is starting to document all of those things. Document the things that get the most traction on social media. If there's one particular post on Instagram that had 65 comments versus your usual 13 to 14, try and figure out what part of that post resonated with people. And eventually what you'll have is you'll have sort of almost like a map of the kind of emotions that you're triggering in people. And those are the kind of emotional chords you need to be striking in your launch copy. So really the prep stage when you're launching something is probably the most important. I really love the ask method. So ask your audience what they need. So have surveys, have polls. Really, you're looking to get the answer from the horse's mouth, essentially. Let them tell you how to sell to them.
All right, y'all, that was the very first step, but there are several that follow. If you are interested in hearing the remainder of the steps for setting up launch copy in the most effective way to get the most sales possible for your business, for your service, for your product, make sure you listen to the rest of this episode on the Lazy Millennial Lounge podcast. You can find it on Apple, you can find it on Spotify, you can find it anywhere you love to listen to podcasts. And of course, all of the links are in the description box for this video. One more thing before we leave, Eman wants to show us something really cool that she created to help someone who might be doing their own copy for their own launch and copywriters like me.
These are the conversion kits. This is the launch planning deck. And what this does is that it essentially walks you through everything we talked about today. It's a 5-stage system that walks you through the strategy. I should hold them higher up. Strategy, the different elements, and like it breaks down your strategy into different elements, and breaks down those elements into different tasks. So, for example, if you need a webinar, then you actually have task cards for video editor, the webinar script, someone to upload the webinar, and so on. And then it lets you assign those tasks to different members of your team. And then the last deck walks you through the debrief process, so you can like analyze your launch and then take the most out of it. And this is the copywriter deck. It's really for anyone who's either a copywriter or is DIYing their copy. It has things to help you with your research process, and breaks down like your breaks down voice into like all the different elements of personality and all of that. So